Boss Level is the latest time loop movie. Now, the time loop movie subgenre will never end, I don't think. They're very popular. The latest one I watched was a really good one with Andy Samberg. It was called Palm Springs. There's also another one on Prime Video about a couple, and they're in a time loop. So instead of doing anything angsty or save the world, they just explore their small town over and over, and their love blossoms or something. So there's a lot of these, Happy Death Day, Edge of Tomorrow. So this is the latest one. It is about Roy. He is an ex-Special Forces badass with an amazing six-pack, and he wakes up after a one-night stand, and a man tries to kill him with a knife. But this has happened 140 times, so whenever he wakes up from his time loop, he's got to fight a guy with a machete. He's done it so many times that he can just sort of like drink coffee and get dressed while this dude's trying to fight him. And then a helicopter shows up with a minigun, and he has to stand in a certain part of his apartment. And he's been evading a host of deadly assassins. There's some German twins, there's a pair of female assassins, there's a dwarf assassin, there's the guy in the morning, and there's just so many different, a host of crazy killers that trying to kill him. And he can never seem to survive past a certain part, though. They always seem to find him at 12:47. But we sort of get a lot of voiceover. That's one of the biggest, I want to say, cons of the movie, that it's produced by Frank Grillo, and he stars in it, and it's directed by Joe Carnahan, the director of Smokin' Aces, The Grey. But I think he had a little too much voiceover going on, because it honestly feels like I'm reading an audiobook at times. There's just so much voiceover, like maybe 75% of the movie has voiceover, and so a lot of the stuff's being told, which is fine, but a lot of stuff's not being shown. And sometimes there's a great energy to the movie, though. Frank Grillo is very charming, has a lot of charisma and star power as Roy. He starts going over like the different times he has been in the loops and different experiments he's tried. If he can get to a certain restaurant in time, he can drink alcohol before getting shot, things like that. There's different ways of surviving. And we're sort of getting the plot with his ex-wife Gemma. She had something to do with a science experiment, and a villain played by Mel Gibson. So he's trying to find out all of this while getting attacked and stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this feels more of a action comedy than a sci-fi. And there are some really entertaining elements, some really ridiculous ones. Sometimes the movie wastes its cast, like Michelle Yeoh's in it, and she's literally on the front cover, and she's billed fourth, but she's only in the movie for like 3 minutes. Same with Naomi Watts. She's got a small role. Mel Gibson does okay, but it's a very, typical role. He plays the villain, and it could have been played by anyone. But I think the real star is Frank Grillo. He's got a lot of physicality to his action sequences. He's very charming. This isn't the great new entry of the time loop movie genre, but it was entertaining. It felt really long, though. The movie's only 100 minutes long, but it felt like 2 hours, because I guess there's a saggy part in the middle where they try to do a lot of flashbacks, because all the action stuff happens at the beginning. But it has this sort of, fourth wall breaking kind of humor with a lot of voiceover. Overall, Boss Level has some pretty decent action sequences that made me laugh. But overall, it was only okay. So I give Boss Level a 6.5 out of 10.